you can't actually harass mineral lines with it anymore, because if you actually focus down on an SCV, one SCV just comes along and repairs it, and it actually out-repairs the DPS of a Reaper. So
Yeah.
it's not too useful in that aspect anymore.
Yeah, really curious to see what they're going to use it for. Map is loading now. The first map is going to be Daybreak in this Terran versus Zerg. And, you know, I think ForGG might have some new creative play to show since he plays so often. With a new Siege tank change, with no Siege mode research required, it's going to be hard for a Zerg player to do, for example, a Baneling all-in or Roach all-in, because it's going to be easier to get that Siege mode out.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to see from Zenio, though. Really, I've never seen him play Heart of the Storm, not even once.
No, nor have I, actually. Nor have I. We've seen ForGG play quite a bit, but Zenio is a mystery in himself as we get loaded up now, as Wolf mentioned previously, onto Daybreak for our first game. It's a best of 3. ForGG previously took out Supernova, and now he goes up against Zenio. Out of curiosity, Wolf, how much HOTS do you end up getting a chance to play?
I've played probably maybe 250 to 300 games total, I think. I've played mostly Terran and started playing a little bit of Protoss recently. Suppose we should introduce our players. Down to the bottom left in the blue for the Team Liquid is, of course, Zenio. Very strong Zerg.
And spawning up to our top right-hand corner here as our red Terran, he goes by the name of ForGG.
I'm curious to ask you the same question. How much Heart of the Storm have you been able to play so far?
Unfortunately, not that much. I'm still in the mindset of wanting to focus on Wings of Liberty, and whilst I've messed around and dabbled with a few units, and then as soon as the leveling change came in, I was like, right, time to see if I can go up against the computer, make 1 million Nexuses on one map, and then get a lot of levels very quickly. Other than that, I've not really been able to play too much, so yeah.
Yeah. I always wondered about that, so I guess that works. You can just make a bunch of Nexi and just get a bunch of like experience points that way.
Yeah, you can at the moment. I'm not sure.
I was wondering about that. I was like, couldn't somebody just create a custom map where you just spawn and then you have a bunch of units and you just, like, for example, you spawn Banelings into Marines just repeatedly and then level up unlimited? I was wondering about that, but I'm sure that now Blizzard employees are listening to me saying this, like, oh, we got to think of something about this now.
Yeah, the custom games like that, they have to be avoided a little. Or they could put, I guess, some deterioration on it, right? Like if you've made an X for 400 experience, then eventually it whittles down the more you make. So
you could also make it so that it only works in quick match, for example, and just disable it for custom games.
Yeah, because custom games could be so exploited, but it's an arbitrary number, so
exactly. Well, ForGG is going CC first here. He's doing the normal Korean CC first, where you make your CC on top of the ramp and wall, of course, with your barracks afterwards. This is basically what almost everybody is doing in Korea right now. You very rarely see people go for CCs on the low ground. It's seen sometimes on bigger maps, but usually on a map like this one, it's on the high ground.
Yep, and it's working so well defensively, and we'll have to see how ForGG is going to follow this up. He goes for the one barracks as well as the refinery, and Overlord's sharking over there to have a little bit of a look around. Won't see that CC just yet. Meanwhile, we have ForGG heading over, having a little bit of a look around. And there's the potential that he could fake bunker pressure, but I don't think for the most part he's really gonna, commit to anything crazy like that.
Yeah, I don't think so. He's got the gas going up, and he doesn't go for the barracks with his wall. He actually just makes a deeper wall, so he might move his barracks over there. We could see Reapers right away, remember, with the new patch, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Maybe that is something we're gonna see.
Yeah, I guess, I mentioned it earlier about it not being too effective in TVT, but in this matchup, there is that little potentialness for it to be more effective, because obviously drones can't be repaired by other drones. So what we saw was he made 2 Marines normally and then a Reaper if he was going to go for it against the Terran. So maybe we'll see that here.
Yeah, that's something that we might see. I actually haven't played any game. Excuse me, I was suddenly having some sort of weird...
Don't die.
Something in my throat.
Oh no.
But I haven't seen any games on the new patch, so I'm really curious to see how it's gonna work out. If I can survive through the match, that is. I think I had like an allergic reaction or something. I don't know what happened to me, but suddenly my throat closed up. I think I'm okay.
I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're okay, Wolf. As we now come back to this game, and please, Wolf, stay with us. Yeah, Funker, our observer, is also concerned for you. Sorry. As we do have actually quite a lot of gas already going down here from Zenio to kick things off at just the 5:30 mark.
Yeah, he takes both of his gases as natural, not at the main, which makes it a little bit tougher to scout. There's a little Twitter plug for you, Colaris.
I don't know what happened, but okay.
I don't know if that's like an inside joke, but let me plug my Twitter.
Fairness is fair. I agree. Wow. I don't know why that happened, but apparently it happened. So thanks to Igor, our Russian caster, as well.
Yeah. I don't know what his Twitter is, or I'd help him out.
No, same. Oh, God, I need to look it up now. All right.
Well, ForGG is powering up a lot of units while he's getting his Hellions out, and this is going to allow him to, of course, control the map just a little bit. And going forward here, ForGG goes into the double reactors on his barracks and starts stims. So he's just doing a normal Wings of Liberty-esque build here, nothing out of the ordinary from him. And this is what we've seen from him most of the time in the beta, but he's definitely dealt with so many different types of other new units from the other races that even though he plays a more Wings of Liberty style, he has a lot of experience playing against Heart of the Swarm units.
Yeah, that is something that's very, very important. And, you know, there was actually a lot of people that went into the beta and they were like, well, this guy just made lings and killed me or something like that. But actually, in the beta, that's quite important, testing out new units against old strategies. So you can't really discount that kind of information.
Yeah, it's actually true. I mean, I remember someone, I was watching somebody stream and he got 6-pool and he went nuts. He was so angry about it. And I was like, well, I don't know, man. 6-pool, is it still viable against Mothership Core, for example? Yeah, of course it is. But if you don't test it, you never know.
Yeah, very true, very true. Actually, I'll be honest, I was one of those people that went nuts when someone just made exclusively Zerglings for a second, then I thought, wait a minute, step back for a second. This actually needs to be done, so it's okay.
This Hellion attack is doing a lot because the ling speed is not done, it's just seconds away. And unfortunately for Zenio, he just doesn't quite have speed and time. He will have enough queens to defend this, but if ForGG wants to, he can just target down drones, and so far he's actually getting quite a bit of them. Wow, this is actually really good for him.
Wow, 9 workers killed thus far. This one Hellion still staying alive, does not get the last volley. So 9 workers dead in total. So that even
Yeah, 27 units killed in total as well. So, I mean, with those drones and those lings lost, this is going to be something that Zenio, of course, has to remake. He makes 4 banlings right now because he's a little bit scared about a potential follow-up attack. His third base is also really, really late right now.
And we're seeing ForGG commit to Bio, so he's going to be going double engineering bay along with a ton of Marines. And I'm very curious to see how we're going to see ForGG go for this harassment, because, again, with these igniting afterburners, they've changed the name of them, so I had to check it for a second. The medevacs are so potent against this, but Ling Bane, I think, is a pretty good style to try and deal with this.
Yeah, I'm really curious. You know, something we don't really see all too often yet, for example, these new medevacs, is ForGG is just walking on the map right now. He could have actually lifted the Marines in there, then boosted across to make them go faster, and then drop them again. That's something I think we're going to start seeing more and more often, to just get reinforcements across the map. I'm really excited about all the potential things in Heart of the Storm that we haven't even seen players utilize yet.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of thinking about little things like that.
Yeah. I have to agree with you there. It's going to get to the point where people are trying to keep like the Ignite afterburners like off cooldown to the point where they're maximizing the mobility, as we do see ForGG still poking in here, trying to get a queen. Nice transfuses here by Zenio. The Zerglings get a great surround and Banelings connect. He's forced to lift up and retreat. Nice play by
Zenio just using those transfuses, you know, as they're meant to be used, and ForGG not able to get a lot done there because of those Banelings, and he lost quite a bit as well. He wants to keep these Marines on the ground, keep them fighting though, and he targets on the queen with the most energy, so no more transfuses this time, and he should be able to pick up and leave. A little bit late there though, he only saves 1 Marine.
And meanwhile, during all of that, we had a drop heading down to the south, but that was technically spotted by a Zergling. Now, will Zenio have spotted that on his map and prepared for that in his main? That's going to be an important factor. He's already got creep heading over there on his side of the main, so that's nice, but he still needs some units over there to deal with that. But no afterburners being used by ForGG just yet.
Yeah, you know, he's just really using the medevac standard. I guess he wants to make sure that he has them to retreat here if he needs them, because now the mutas are out. And he's going to try to fight these here, but unfortunately for him, there's enough lings, I feel, that he's just all he has to do is pull the mutas back. Well, with all the Marines unloaded, he has to wait for those Banelings to actually take them out.
Yeah, they're on the way. They're going to try and crash into them. The Marines do get completely whittled down, and the Mutalisks clean up the rest of those medevacs. But again, afterburners here could have been so useful. And ooh, we actually have that swarmling thingamajigger upgrade.
Yeah, it's like increased life or whatever it's called.
Enduring
locusts. Okay. Yeah, it increases their lifetime by just 10 seconds, which is so significant when you have them streaming across the map, because when they start to go across the map, of course, that 10 seconds of time gives them so much more distance is basically all that really means. It's like how much further can they go across the map? How much longer can they fight before they're killed?
And it's also really important to note here that, you know, Mutalisks cleaning up those kinds of drops are far more effective in Heart of the Swarm now, because they do have regenerating tissues. They can get that health back super quick with those Ling reinforcements to help out those engagements as well, so they're not taking massive amounts of damage. And it's actually a scary thing how quickly Mutalisks heal up. They're full health already.
Yeah, it's really important to think about that, you know, especially when the Mutalisk count gets really big and you're starting to harass, and yeah, you take some turret hits, but you fly out and you come back in with more health. And even against Protoss players, you know, just thinking about another matchup, that can be really scary. We'll see how much damage he can get done with his first group. Very Brood War style here, having an Overseer in his Mutalisk group. Yep. Not going to help him stack those mutas, of course, though, in Starcraft 2.
Not too much. We have 7 Swarm hosts now on the way, barreling out. Actually, 3 are already out here, so Zenio is going for some kind of containment style with 10 Swarm hosts to kick things off, also getting range upgrade to benefit them even more for those Locusts. And ForGG, he is exploiting the fact that siege tanks don't require that siege tech upgrade anymore, and establishing himself a nice little containment hold himself across 3 bases. But you know, if he gets trapped for too long, he could find himself in a bad spot.
Yeah, and Zenio, on the other hand, does he have enough units to actually hold this watchtower? I think he needs to leave. He does leave. He sends some locusts out. He will actually burrow this in another wave, but he's going to have to leave there as well. A scan goes down. ForGG not quite able to close the gap. This is actually really nice zoning by Zenio, but I really worry for him because he needs a few more Banelings to actually keep these Swarm hosts alive. He's going to start to lose them here.
Oh, wow. Disconnect, and the Swarm hosts skittering back, trying to find a position where they can stay alive. ForGG constantly laying down the scans, so he knows exactly where the Swarm hosts are, and he catches even some more.
You know, it's so interesting to me to see how this battle unfolds, because Zenio uses them, he moves back, and he's trying to bait the Marines into the Banelings. When they come to scan to kill those units, then the Banelings are there waiting for him, so it's kind of a catch-22. He needs to kill the Swarm host, but if he goes too far forward, he might lose too many Marines to the Banelings.
Just constant scans. I wonder what would happen if he mixed in just one Raven with all of this, but at the same time, Swarm hosts at the back being caught off by extra reinforcements for ForGG. Zerglings and Banelings rolling in, trying to connect with the Marines. ForGG tries to split, but a lot of them do die off. The siege tank's going to get cleaned up completely by the Mutalisks. There's not actually that many Marines left. You could probably clean that up.
Yeah, in this time, ForGG is going to have to actually go back. He doesn't have enough units to completely continue his push. He's got a lot of medevacs with those Marines, and in total he has 12 medevacs out on the map. That's so many. But yeah, you're right. He doesn't have enough Marines with this. He needs to get all of his Marines back, regrouped together, and go for another push. I worry, though, for Zenio. He doesn't really have enough infestors, or in fact, he doesn't have any at all, to be able to lock these Marines down. If he did, it would be much better for him.
It's interesting to see how people are going to be experimenting here, but in essence, these Swarm hosts haven't really paid for themselves at all. If he'd have just, as you said, you know, mixed in infestors, this would have been probably a lot better for him. And ForGG sieging up this 4th location, I don't know how Zenio is going to be able to hold this right now.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to hold this 4th base, and ForGG is just building the perfect composition. His Marine count was a little bit lowered, but he has a great amount of medevacs. He has 9 siege tanks, so Zenio is in a little bit of trouble economy-wise as well, losing this base, because ForGG has his own 4th mining in the middle of the map.
This is going to just get out of hand here. I mean, there's always that point where a beta comes out and, whoa, actually, hold the phone. Zenio's just going to go for the straight counterattack with a ton of Zerglings and Mutalisks. Try and hold on, but look at the reinforcements of ForGG. That's massive.
These Baneling hits need to be good if he wants to take this fight, and so far they're decent. He hits not only siege tanks, but Marines as well. But it's just, there's too much DPS on ForGG's army. And again, Zenio has to turn around. He's trying to use some Storm hosts to weaken this army, but here comes the scan. He's going to lose all of them, it looks like.
Constant scan.
Barely escape.
Yeah, exactly. It's just skittering away on that creep, very, very useful for them. And ForGG still laying waste to all of these bases whilst trying to establish his economy even further ahead of Xenio's behind this. ForGG in HOTS, it's just a monster. He hasn't really utilized anything new in HOTS thus far, apart from maybe the Siege Tech upgrade, if you can really count that as it.
Yeah, and, I mean, he hasn't used his thrusters at all. I haven't seen them, but pretty much every Marine has their own personal medevac right now with 16 medevacs on the map. And he certainly knows how to deal with Swarmos, that much is true. GG.
Wow.